Hello friends, and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, just a week or so ago, I was running late and had about 15 minutes to throw on some clothes, whip on some makeup, and hop in the car to make it to a meeting on time. Well, when I started to apply my face makeup, the first thing I saw when I looked down on my makeup counter was a makeup sponge, which I promptly grabbed. I dotted on about 4 drops of foundation and then started to pat in the foundation with that dampened makeup sponge. And that's when I stopped in my tracks, and frankly, I looked rather like a deer caught in headlights because that makeup application looked flawless. Now, although I love using a dampened makeup sponge as the final touch to my makeup routine, when I first apply my makeup, I'm usually a tried and true makeup brush girl, and I have more makeup brushes than Carter has little liver pills. Does anyone else remember that expression from way back in the day? But anyway, back to the topic. That quick encounter with my makeup sponge was a great reminder to me of all the ways we can create flawless, flattering makeup coverage that works especially beautifully on our mature skin. So today, I'll share with you 6 different ways to create gorgeous, flattering, non-cakey coverage that can make our skin look absolutely radiant. But first, let me officially welcome you if this is your first time checking out this channel. And if you're a regular, thank you so very much for stopping back in today. I really appreciate you. Well, if you enjoy looking your best so you can feel your best, you have come to the right place. My mission and passion as a makeup artist is to share the makeup tips, techniques, and products that can make the biggest difference for us now. Because I think we'd all agree that the makeup that looked fabulous on us in our 20s and 30s might not look as fabulous now. And in addition to focusing on makeup, we also occasionally dip our toes into the worlds of fashion and wellness as well. Now, let's give the first of these 6 looks a try. As you can see, I've filled in my brows, completed my eye makeup, and I've also done my skin prep. And with each of the 6 looks that I'll be doing today, I'll reapply my skin prep and use the same makeup products, so everything is the same from beginning to end. My skin prep includes my Versed Brightening Serum, my Timeless Q10 Coenzyme Serum, my Timeless Matrixyl Synthase 6 Serum, and my Versed Moisturizer. I'll use my trusty Real Techniques makeup sponge that I've probably had for over 6 years as my main makeup tool. And since I wanted to use a foundation that's more reasonably priced today, and which has medium coverage and creates a natural finish, I've chosen Sephora's Best Skin Ever foundation, which comes in 44 shade options and costs $22. I wear shade 11.5P. It is really an exceptionally good foundation for the price. Well, look number 1 is the one I used when I was racing to get ready for the meeting. It's wonderfully quick and easy, and with this first look, you can achieve either a light or a medium coverage depending on how much foundation you apply and how much you shear out the foundation with a sponge. First, I'll apply exactly 4 dots of foundation to one side of my face. So I'm going to just tap 4 drops, make sure I get the same amount. And then I'm going to take my Real Techniques dampened makeup sponge and pat it in. And by the way, when I use this makeup sponge, I get it very, very wet, wring it out, and then I take a paper towel and put it around the sponge one more time to absorb any excess moisture. And you notice that I use a tapping motion on my face, and that's so the foundation doesn't shear out too much. And here's the look that we can create using this technique. Definitely to cover my age spots, I would have to go in with a dot of concealer, but in terms of how the foundation itself looks, I think you'd agree that it does not look the least bit cakey and really looks very skin-like. Wow, can you hear the wind blowing outside? We have a wind advisory today and it's going to get up to 50 miles an hour, so if you hear any strange noises in the background, that's probably what you're hearing. There are 3 things that make this technique work so well for our mature skin. First, we're using a very small amount of foundation. Second, we're shearing out that foundation by using a dampened makeup sponge, which means we're far less likely to create a cakey foundation look. And third, we're adding moisture to the skin, which makes our skin appear far more radiant. And since most of us have drier skin as we get older, this really makes a difference. Now on the right side of my face, we'll go with the second look that will provide even more coverage. So instead of using foundation, I'll apply concealer. And my concealer of choice today is Natasha Denona's High Glam Concealer, which is one of my all-time favorites. My shade is RN3. Now, although this concealer is pricey at $30, to me, it's absolutely worth it due to how creamy and hydrating it is and how much great coverage it provides. I'm going to once again apply 4 dots and then tap it in with my very slightly damp sponge. Now I had to clean my sponge, of course, and now let me wring it out with that paper towel. All right, 4 taps of my Natasha Denona concealer. And as you saw, I had to really think about not putting another tap on. And then once again, I'm going to take my makeup sponge and just tap it around. The sponge automatically shears this out a bit, but since I'm tapping and not rubbing, it doesn't shear out quite as much as it would ordinarily. All right, let's take a look at the side with concealer on it and see what we think. Now I have fewer age spots on this side, or at least they're not quite as prominent as on the other side. So it does look like I have better coverage because I do have fewer age spots. But let's get a good up-close look at both sides. This is the side with foundation, this is the side with concealer, and see if you think you notice much difference. Now I can frankly tell there's a little bit more coverage on this side, but I still think that by using that sponge, it looks darn flawless. And I'd love to know which side you feel looks better. Now I'm going to head off camera to remove the products that we just applied. I'm going to clean my sponge and also then reapply my skincare products. I'll be right back. But one thing that's really important to do for our makeup to look flawless is to let our serums and our moisturizer completely dry and soak into the skin before we apply any other face makeup. That's really hard for me to do, and I know it's hard for many of you. I've heard from a number of you because so many times we're in a hurry when we're putting our makeup on, but it makes a huge difference in how we look. Now, hopefully mine is completely dry, so let me check it out. Yep, I think it's pretty well fully absorbed into the skin. So now let's go on to look 3. This time on the left side of my face, I'll combine 4 dots of my foundation as I did before, but I'm going to also add 2 drops of a facial oil. This technique will give a little more glow to the skin. And of course, I'll include links to all the products that I'm using today in the description box, as well as through YouTube Shopping, which shows the products under this video. Now, just as an FYI, YouTube Shopping does not always have links to all of the products that we use on YouTube, but it does usually have most of them. But the description box will definitely include links to all of the products that I'm using today. I'm shaking my foundation once again, and I'm starting on my left side with 4 drops of foundation. And this is the facial oil I'm using. It's from NOOMI Stockholm, but there are many different facial oils on the market. And I'm going to apply 2 drops, and I'm just going to tap those 2 drops on. And then I'm just going to pat them in with a sponge. Now, if you have oily skin or combination skin, you might want to use a little bit less facial oil. But as you can see, we certainly get more glow. Let's take a real close-up look on the side where I just used the facial oil with the foundation. On the right side, I'm going to dot on 4 drops of concealer to once again add more coverage. And because we're also going to be using facial oil, we'll also create more glow than we saw when we just used the concealer alone a few moments ago. So 4 swipes of concealer and then 2 drops of facial oil. And then I'm going to use another side of my sponge that I haven't used to tap it in. But wow, this really makes a difference in coverage. Let's take a look. So this is a side with 4 drops of foundation mixed with 2 drops of facial oil. And this is a side with 4 drops of concealer mixed with 2 drops of facial oil. Now I think you can see that on this side where I don't have concealer, where it's just foundation, it looks like there's quite a bit of glow and maybe a little bit too much. I think if I were going to use this technique again, I would use just 1 drop of facial oil with the foundation. And once again, I'd love to get your input as to which side of my face you feel looks better. The left side where I combine foundation with facial oil, or the right side where I combine concealer with facial oil. And YouTube and I would definitely like to get your input as well on whether you're finding today's video helpful. If you are, please let us know by tapping that thumbs up icon. And by doing this, you'll alert YouTube to let more people know about this video. And if you haven't already subscribed, I do hope you'll also tap that subscribe button before you leave today. Doing these 2 things is a wonderful way to help my channel, which I truly appreciate. Now, on to our 2 final looks. But first, I need to remove these products and reapply my serums and moisturizer, but I'll be back in just a moment. All right, we are ready to go with look number 5. I'm going to go ahead and put 4 drops of foundation on first, but this time I'll mix into the foundation 2 drops of L'Oreal's Lumi Glotion Highlighter and apply it on the left side with my sponge. L'Oreal's Lumi Glotion is an OG favorite that comes in 5 different shades. I happen to have shade 901, which is fair. Shake this foundation again, 2 drops and 2 more drops. And here's the Lumi Glotion. And I'll just tap on 2 drops. All right, let's do some tapping. All right, let's see what this side looks like with the foundation plus the 2 drops of L'Oreal Lumi Glotion. My first impression is that it doesn't give as much glow as the facial oil, but if you like just a lighter glow, this may be a great option for you. Our final flawless look will combine concealer with highlighter on the right side of my face. So once again, 2 swipes of my Natasha Denona concealer and 2 drops of my Lumi Glotion, a different part of my sponge to tap it in. Let's take an up-close look. Now my impression is that because I'm shearing this out with the sponge, it really is working best to use the concealer with these products. But again, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Let's take a real up-close look at my face now. This side is the foundation with the Lumi Glotion. This side is the concealer with the Lumi Glotion. Now let's go ahead and compare all 6 looks. I have photos of each of them so you can take a look at each of them side by side. Do you feel there's an overall winner for the title of best look? And most importantly, which look do you feel would be the best look for you? So let's go ahead and finish up this look with some contour and with some blush. For contour, I'm using my Westman Atelier Face Trace in the shade Biscuit. And this is one of my favorites just because it blends in effortlessly. It's light, but it's dark enough so it gives a little bit of definition. And sorry about hitting my earring here, making noise. So as I'm doing this, I'm thinking spring because we've just had a couple of days of really warm weather. In fact, I was out walking at a nearby park, which has a trail that goes around a lake. And I had my Merlin bird ID on. Do any of you have that? It's so much fun. And it identified 14 different birds in one area, including a pileated woodpecker. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And I actually could see him and got a little bit of video of him. They are amazing birds. Now for blush, I'm going to combine 2 of them. The first one is from Makeup by Mario, and this is his cream blush in Perfect Pink. And I'm going to combine that with this Tower 28 blush in a color called Party Hour. As you can see, the Makeup by Mario one is a little bit pinker and the Tower 28 has a little bit more of a lilac tone. And I think I'm going to just apply with my fingers just to get a little bit more color going. It's so much fun to play with different blush colors and combine them and see what you come up with. This is one of my favorite combinations. I'm going to add a little bit more of the lavender tone to this side. Now, cream blush does sink in and sometimes disappears pretty quickly. I'm not going to do this today because I'm not going anywhere, but one thing I like to do is pat on some setting spray with my sponge and then apply a second coat, and that really helps. And then sometimes I'll even apply setting spray over that second coat. Well, throughout this video, I just used one foundation, but as we all know, finding that right foundation that ticks all the boxes for us can really be a challenge. So if you'd welcome some tips on how to find your perfect foundation, I think you'd find this video to be especially helpful. And I also want to let you know that one of the things I love to do most is do Zoom consultations with you. And I have had so many wonderful experiences over the years working with women from literally all over the world. It's amazing how much ground we can cover in an hour, and we have so much fun doing it. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video and found it helpful so you can think about what kinds of options you would like to use for creating your own flawless makeup look. Until we see each other again, I wish you good health and happiness, and I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Take care.